Hello, welcome to day 2 of Attracting Your Lasting Love. So we're talking about relationship archetypes and understanding the different types and perhaps even recognizing yourself in one of these types. So today is day 2, and which means that we are talking about the avoidant and or resistant relationship type. And really, this type is all about protecting themselves from becoming too close to anybody because they really are self-contained when it comes to their feelings and emotions, and they don't outwardly express those feelings and emotions. So some characteristics of this type. This type of person, they tend to have short-term relationships, or they are in relationships that actually don't progress past a certain point, or they might even state very clearly that they don't want to have a relationship. They're really okay with just casually dating. Or if they do, if they are in a relationship, they don't seem to be able to stay in a relationship for long. They'll make sure that they push that relationship away. They really love their independence and their freedom. They're very, very self-sufficient and overall prefer autonomy over having intimate relationships. So they're really good at just focusing on themselves. You'll recognize this person because they seem to be really just focusing on their own needs and not really considering always the needs of somebody else. They will suppress their feelings, and they kind of have a take it or leave it kind of attitude towards relationship and emotional situations and connections. So this type of person will easily distance themselves from any kind of conflict or stressful situations. So some characteristics of this person in a relationship. So they have, hello again, Karen, so happy that you're joining. So this person is emotionally distant, and they tend not to open up to their partners in a relationship. You know, being in a relationship with this avoidant, resistant type of person is like you'll come in, you'll have it, you know, some conflict or something in the relationship, and then they just kind of shut down, and you know, you might just be bawling your eyes out over something that's happening, and they're sitting there almost stone-faced with just no reaction or no emotion whatsoever. So it's really difficult to be able to interact, and you know what they're doing and what they've learned to do is just really be self-contained and not show a whole lot of emotion in their relationship. That doesn't mean that they're not feeling beings, because they are, but they just internalize. That's okay, Karen. Thanks for showing up. So what they've done is they just have adapted a way of just really being independent, keeping the emotion out of everything, and that can be really challenging in relationships. So another thing that this type of person will do is they have this idealistic kind of view of what their ideal partner would look like, but they never will go out and find this person to be with. And if they do find themselves in a relationship with somebody, they will put this idealistic idea of what this person, their ideal partner, should be like, and then try and compare them to the relationship that they're in. And so their partner will never meet the high standard that is being set for them. And of course, this is not always a conscious thing. Oftentimes this is just unconscious. It's just what they do, and it's how they've adapted to their own style. So keeping in mind that they're, oops, my earring fell off. keeping in mind that their whole thing is just to keep themselves safe in the relationship. So other characteristics are that they flirt a lot. You don't hear them say "I love you" very much in a relationship, and when things start to go well, you'll recognize that they start to push it away. So if you're in a relationship with this type of person and you're thinking, wow, you know what, things are just absolutely great, and then all of a sudden you feel like, okay, what's happening here, what's going on, because you can actually feel them pushing away from you. So they like to keep a safe distance from you or in their relationship. So where does all this behavior come from? We can't blame our parents and our caregivers for everything that goes on in our lives, right? But everything that we learn at a very young age. So this type of person, they had parents or caregivers who really encouraged independence and to manage your emotions. And let's say if you fell down and hurt yourself, for example, a parent may have said, or a caregiver may have said, oh, that's okay, you know what, just brush it off and you're fine, you got this, right? Or having to deal with an emotional upset, it's like, oh, you know what, don't cry, buck up, just deal with it, that type of thing. So what they've learned is to really just become self-contained within themselves when dealing with stressful situation, and really trusting that I just lost my train of thought there. So they're just trusting within themselves and not trusting of the other person. Karen, you're asking, are they typically loyal once they commit to you? Yeah, you know what? I think anybody has the ability to be loyal in a relationship, but I think that this particular type really has to overcome trust issues and letting somebody else in and allowing somebody to show up for them, because their pattern is not to be trusting, to just take care of yourself and get everything that you need from within yourself. So I would say, in answer to your question, yes, I think that they have the ability to be loyal in a relationship, but I think that they have to recognize their own pattern and just allow other people to be there for them. So great question, Karen. So what type of people does somebody that has an avoidant type and who is resistant to letting others in attract? Well, they are going to attract the type from yesterday, which is the anxious type. So you can imagine in a relationship, the dynamics of these two types together, what happens is the anxious type wants that connection and wants that intimacy, and then you have the one that's avoidant who's going like, no, back off, you're too close to me. So, but that is a very typical scenario that happens. And what ends up happening, again, as I said yesterday, the anxious type is going to want to try to do more, to be more, to give more of themselves. And it becomes very exhausting because their emotional needs are never being met in that relationship. And all the while, the avoidant type is going, yeah, you know what, you can be here, and as long as I'm getting things done for myself, you can be here, but I'm not going to do so much of the emotional connection output, because their safety mechanism is to stay within themselves and to trust only themselves. But even for this avoidant type, not all hope is lost. It's with all types that we talk about. Everybody has the ability to change certain characteristics when they are in relationship. It comes down to trusting and allowing somebody else to show up for us. But this particular type, this is how they operate in general. So one of the types that do function well with this type is what we call a stabilizer, and that's the type that we're going to talk about actually on Friday. But this is the type that really is kind of mainstream. They're not over anxious in their relationships. They're kind of, you know, cool. They give their a lot of space and freedom in their relationship. Not so much, hi Heather, not so much, you know, clinginess and neediness, but really are just really grounded in the relationship. So we're going to be talking about that type on Friday. But tomorrow what we're going to be talking about is the person that is a blend of being the avoidant and also being the anxious person. So that's who we're going to be speaking about tomorrow, and it's kind of like the perfect combination, but they kind of teeter-totter back and forth. So that is all I have for you today on the avoidant or resistant relationship archetype, and I'm going to be sending out the replays in your email if you signed up that way, and of course you can watch back later. Sorry, Karen, what will be good? Which one will be good? Are you talking about the one that's a little bit anxious and a little bit avoidant? Okay, anyways, so that's all I have for you today. I hope that that you, oh yes, tomorrow. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, that one as well. Okay, so that's a wrap for today, short and sweet for today, and I look forward to hearing any comments or feedback that you have in the private Facebook group, and have a lovely afternoon, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.